Alright, so we got the 400 spoilers, and this chapter is genuinely mind-blowing. It is so exciting what happens at the end here. I can't believe it. But before we get into it, let me just go over what had happened in the previous chapter. So we saw All Might continuing to take on All for One, using various support items, all inspired by his students. And in that chapter, we also saw Aoyama taking on Kunita. Kunita was able to defeat most of the heroes there with his plant flower quirk, whatever he has. But it eventually got to the point of Aoyama using the power of shame and friendship to fire off naval lasers powerful enough to potentially take out Kunita, but he's unable to aim them because Kunita had his laser belt thing. Until Hagakure showed up at the last second and used her ability to reflect the lasers because, she's like invisible and she can reflect the light using her warp refraction. And the naval lasers hit Kunita, essentially defeating him, which I think might be confirmed in these spoilers. And then the chapter ended with us seeing All Might paralleling to Aoyama firing off his own massive laser against All for One. And that brings us to this chapter that begins with Aoyama seeing Hagakure naked, which makes her run away embarrassed. She says that this has never happened before, but remembers the moment when they discovered that Aoyama was the traitor and her face became partially visible. She thinks that the adrenaline of risking her life on the battlefield may have caused her quirk to glitch. She also notices that Aoyama's naval laser has gotten stronger, but he says that now they need to focus on destroying the plants and saving all the pro heroes. And I didn't know that was a glitch, as she says. I thought that was just, Horikoshi's fan service, of course. Just from the light glistening from the naval lasers, like giving us the perfect opportunity as the audience to see it, but whatever. Even if Kunita is unconscious, the plants may continue to grow. He asks Hagakure to use the light to burn the roots that are growing inside their bodies, and she asks him about his tummy. But Aoyama says he'll give it his all, because today is his last day as a UA student. Also, this saying that it's his last day as a UA student, I know that's what he ultimately wants because he's a traitor and he's trying to have some kind of redemption, but I'm sure there will be something that happens that stops him from doing that. But like I also said, I guess this is confirming that Kunita is defeated because they're also taking the plants out from his quirk that was infesting the other heroes. But I suppose it's also possible he might get up again and they have to fight him for another round. I could see that happening. Also, I wonder what's going to go on with, UA and the hero course and all that stuff after this war is over. Is it like, yeah, let's just continue you being students, even though you're all super ultra powerful gods, way more powerful than the top 10 pro heroes. Well, at least by that point, Izuku will, and I'm sure the top 3 will be, not that far behind him, at least Bakugo. Well, not that far behind him in terms of being so much farther away from everyone else.
But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Also, if you're familiar with HelloFresh, which I've also used before and love, Factor is in partnership with them. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Too busy to cook this fall, but want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back to crushing your goals. You can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus add-ons. And for an easy wellness boost, try refreshing beverage options like cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. This September, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. So I tried their apple kale wheatgrass cold pressed juice, and this was amazing. Like, the first sip just hit different. I also tried the queso fundido with cilantro cauliflowered rice. Oh my god, I cannot believe how good this queso fundido was. And I'm not lying when I say this, I swear guys, this is the best I've ever had. I don't know how they made this. I wish they sent me like 17 of these. I could eat it every day. I also tried the cacio pepe with broccoli and cauliflower.
cauliflower, and this was so satisfying. Cacio pepe is one of my favorite pasta dishes, and Factor did such a great job with theirs. It's so good on the broccoli and the cauliflower too.
So guys, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code Zhoniin50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box. That's such a great offer. And again, it's code Zhoniin50 to get 50% off of your first Factor box. Thanks, guys.
Cut to All Might's fight, and he says that the strategy of using a laser to cause massive damage and metal with his regen was inspired by Star's battle. All for One tries to escape, but All Might stops him using earphone jack sound waves. So that's interesting. All Might bringing up Star here, so that's his homage to Star. I guess this means that he's not going to have like a support item dedicated to her the way that he has with the other students here. Also in this sequence we see him using Jiro's sound jack. The laser also coming from Aoyama, but I guess he's just compounding that with Star. Because unfortunately, All Might never got to meet Star and Stripe. Well, at least like real time. He met her as a kid, maybe? I mean, I know he saved her as a kid in the first movie, but yeah, I really miss Star and Stripe. Her battle was amazing. Maybe the best in the series, to be honest. Maybe one of the best ever in all of battle manga. And I guess we're gonna see it in the beginning of My Hero Season 7, right? But if you haven't read it, or it's just been a while, you should give it a reread, because that laser that he's inspired by here, it's a really incredible sequence by itself. It's then revealed that at the end of the previous chapter, All Might use Tentacle and the thrusters to escape from All for One and protect himself from the laser with the armor's Invisible Girl's optical resins. So I guess that's in reference to before it cut away to Aoyama in the previous chapter, where All Might got leveled by All for One, but he also was able to like put the Shoto cannon in his mouth. So after that sequence, I guess he was able to get away, and it led to, you know, him firing off the Aoyama laser in the sky. He reduced the impact of All for One's punch with Tailman, but the lower half of his body is in tatters. He's still smiling, saying that All for One was stupid for not aiming for the head just because he wanted to see the former symbol of peace, his agonized grimace so bad. And I guess that's the excuse for why All for One didn't like instantly kill All Might. Or go harder on him, I suppose. He's trying to essentially torture him. And All Might's kind of roasting him for it. Also, maybe this is like Horikoshi's little homage to Thanos. You know, like what he says to Thor at the end of Avengers Infinity War. That's when several black tendrils start coming out of the laser, hitting All Might. All for One is trying to free himself, but All Might turns parts of his armor into spheres, with armor morphing Creati, and those spheres stick All for One's hands into the ground. Grape juice. Alright, so we have All Might's support gear that was inspired by Yaoyorozu and Mineta. Of course, Mineta. He has to have a spot in here. All 20 students are for sure going to get a call out. The armor is very destroyed, but All Might can't stop laughing, saying that the joy is numbing the pain. Cut to an old lady and her grandson watching the fight in another country. The child asks who's that on TV, and his grandmother says that she doesn't know much about the heroes. The child asks what will happen to them if the heroes win, and the old lady says nothing, since it's all happening in a faraway country, but the boy can't take his eyes off of the TV and starts rooting for All Might's victory. So that's a little interesting cutaway, and I guess it's just showing us that like this is for sure happening in Japan, and it's very centralized there, but the ramifications do have a global impact. Like, yeah, if the heroes win, then everything just stays as it is, especially for the other countries. But if All for One were to win, he would slowly take over the world. Like, that was his implied ambitions. Like, everyone else knows that, even like the president of the United States. Cut back to the fight, and the car that was shooting the lasers explodes, freeing All for One. We then see that he looks like a child, and his body is emitting light. All Might calls him a rugrat, but All for One responds, saying, "You forgot to smile, dear friend." So wow, it actually happened. I think we were talking about this in the previous review. I thought it was going to immediately happen after the damage that he was taking from All Might's big Aoyama laser that he hit him with, because it was said that All for One's current rewinding that he's going through speeds up when he's using more quirks to heal himself, and the more damage he takes as well. So that has all compounded, I guess, later on in this chapter, along with what happened before with the laser. And now he has regressed to a child because, you know, previously he was like, I don't know, maybe a teenager or something. So I assumed that he was going to regress to like a child or something. And yeah, here it is. I'm not sure if he's a straight up toddler or something, or if he's 5 years old, but it's going to be really weird seeing like All Might just kicking the crap out of like a little kid. Something that looks like an arm starts to come out of All For One's back, but then suddenly his whole body freezes. Everyone's blood is equally red. Stain arrives with his glider, licking All For One's blood from a debris and shouting, "Go All Might!" End of chapter. Oh my god, guys, that is incredible. I am so hyped for this. Horikoshi is really starting to deliver with this fight here because Stain is finally back and he's assisting All Might against All For One. This is like some fan fiction I would be writing or something. And I think this means that Stain is going to get a final and proper moment with All Might, which I'm glad because his moment with All Might before I thought was a little anticlimactic. So I'm glad he's having another one here, especially seeing All Might, you know, in his final blaze of glory, actually fighting together with him. Like if they fight together, which I think is going to happen, they already technically are, but if they straight up fight together in the next chapter against All For One, that would be incredible. Also, aside from that, Stain being here is also great because he potentially can finally talk to Toga and Tabi. Like, that's a whole thing that still needs to happen. So if Horikoshi can do that, then, man, he's really ending this series properly then. Or at least he's doing some things that he should have done, at least. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments. And if you liked the video, please leave it a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.